Hey everybody, welcome back. Tack för sist, välkommen tillbaka. It's a hot one today. It's around, I think it's supposed to be about 90. I think it's pretty close to that. We just finished our job. It was such good timing because it started getting pretty hot yesterday. So it was getting a little tough working on it. I mean, not tough, I'm used to it, but it's always nicer when it's like in the 70s and it's perfect painting weather. But it's done. Now I'm headed back to California to continue my job out there. Anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you especially for the comments and for smashing that like button. If you like it. If you don't like it, I probably wouldn't smash it. But if you dig it, I appreciate it. So today I'm going to talk about something a little different, lighthearted. You know, I've done several videos in the last few weeks that are kind of deep, and I don't want it to always be deep, even though those create quite a bit of discussion. And I love interacting with y'all. I think it's so cool when I get comments that make me think a little bit and maybe, you know, consider my opinions. I have no problem being challenged on my ideas, thoughts, values, values and morals. You're probably not going to change my ideas on, but you know, there are things in the world that I'm willing to be open to. Now, one of those things, the subject of this video, manifesting. Very woo-woo, right? Not something I was ever into. You know, I always believed in trying to stay positive about things. I talked about how on my Mormon mission, way before incantations and manifesting was a thing, I just came up with on my own that if I don't start trying to enjoy this, I am going to be miserable for a year and a half, and it's going to suck, and it's going to drag forever. So I literally started in my head and sometimes out loud just saying, I love being in Norway, I love being on a mission, over and over and over, hundreds of times. Now, I did not get to the place where it was like, I love this, there's nothing else I'd rather do. But I did get to a place where I was happy. And towards the end, I actually enjoyed it a fair bit. Of course, part of that was that I was back in my home city of Stavanger. That was awesome. I got to see my family, got to know my city better. So that was a lot of fun. Fast forward many, many years. I'd say a few years ago, 2 to 4 years ago, my oldest daughter, who's now 28, I think has been into this kind of Zen thing for a while. If you walk into her rooms, they're very Zen, very peaceful, very tranquil, laid out in a really calming way. Like when I go into her rooms, it's like peace. It's just got that feel. Sometimes my life feels chaotic, and she started talking to me about it. She got her mom, my wife, into it, and I read a book. It's probably been about a year and a half ago now. I'm not going to say the name of the book because the book itself, I don't know why, but it creates controversy. I found no controversy in it. It's just straightforward stuff. I did a video about this a couple of years ago, and I had somebody tell me that it was, you know, of the devil, and there's nothing like that. Nothing. Maybe I'll mention the book. I'm not getting paid for it, though. Why would I plug somebody's book? Anyway, by the way, aside, real quick, my daughter is an author. She is working on a series of 5 books. I think it's 5. She's written the first 2, and the third one's coming out. It's like a young adult series. Her name is Shirsten Shirts, Shirsten Shirts, like a shirt with an S on the end. Check her out if you're interested in something like that. They are so good. If you like Harry Potter, Ella Enchanted, that kind of thing. Anyway, back to the subject. She's a great author. This author that I'm talking about now, I'm not getting paid, so I probably won't mention it. But it was about manifesting. It was about, I mean, in my opinion, it went a little far. Like you can do pretty much anything. I have never looked at manifestation as I want $500,000 in my bank account tomorrow and it'll be there. That's not how I look at it. I look at it more in, for instance, I've said this many times that I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I know that drives some of you crazy. I'm sorry, but that is what I am. And I say a prayer in my head almost every night. I do not ask for physical things. I ask for, you know, protection for my family, for myself when I'm traveling, for health, for wellness for all of my kids. You know, even though my kids are all grown, they're between 25 and 35 years old. They're all in different places in their lives, and I worry about them all the time. You know, you think when your kids get grown, they're off on their own. You don't have to think about it. In my experience, that's not how it works, and it doesn't work like that with most of my friends either. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that when I say manifesting, like for instance, working on this YouTube channel, I don't consider this work. It did get monetized about a month ago, which blew my mind. I actually never thought it would get there. I just was doing kind of this video diary, doing some fun videos. And you know, if it became something fantastic. If it didn't, that's cool too. I'm having fun doing it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, I'm not that far away from 4,000 subscribers, which to some people that's nothing. And I know it's not a lot, but it's a big deal to me. And every one of you that pushes that subscribe button, I appreciate so much. Thank you. I really dig it. Back to the manifesting. I'm trying to decide, have I had experiences in my life where it works? And I think I would have to. Kind of a contradiction in terms there. But I believe so. I believe that if I go into the day, whatever the day is, whether it's a work day or a fun day camping with friends, with high hopes, with belief that it's going to be a good day, almost always it is. You know, bad things happen from time to time. And I don't know that we can always control those bad things. But we can control the way we think about things. I'm going to give you an example here. And this dude I'm going to tell you about, I don't think was into manifestation. He just had a mindset that even though he didn't know that's what he was doing, I believe that's what he was doing. So I have a couple of friends. The first friend, by the way, passed away 9 years ago. Really good friend of mine. He went through hell with cancer. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but I will say that I never heard the guy complain one single time, not once. And I saw him a lot. He was a really good friend. He was in this backyard many times drinking beer with me. I have a chair over in the corner there that I still consider his chair because he sat in the same spot. I'm going to show you. Let's see. Over there is our fire pit, and he sat in that same chair. I know you didn't see the exact chair, but he sat in the same chair every time. It was his chair. He was such a badass. The last time I saw him, I went to see him, and he was restoring a car, and the closest I ever heard him come to complaining was when I was getting ready to leave. I said, well, how you doing? You know, obviously it wasn't great. It's just small talk. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to get the car done. Not doing so great. Now for him, that's like somebody else that's bitching and moaning nonstop. I knew at that point he was in a lot of pain. He was hurting. He knew his time was limited. When he told me that, I thought that meant a few months. And I went on the road just a few days after that. And I got a text like 3 days after I left from his wife, who's a really good friend of ours still, that he had passed. Broke my heart because I thought I would get to see him several more times. I would have said more. I would have gone and seen him more. I might have postponed my trip. Anyway, the point of it was whether he was knowing that he was manifesting. I think he was, because he was putting good thoughts out there. He was not letting the horrible situation he was in dominate his life. He decided he was going to be happy, and he was going to fight this mother blanking thing to the end, and he did, like a complete badass. I know somebody else, and I want to be vague about this, that well, let's just say I've known a few people, and I'm not judging here because I'm not in these circumstances, and I don't know how I would react if I was in those situations. I had a bit of a scare myself 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. I went in for I have a lot of moles on my body. I went in for just for my annual checkup, and The doctor checked everything, said, yeah, this is just normal stuff. There's nothing to worry about here. And I like got dressed. I was like, oh, I forgot about this one on my shoulder right here. And she goes, oh, well, let's see it. And she's very short. I'm not tall. I'm 5'10", but she was like 5'4". She couldn't see my shoulder. So I sit down and she looks at it, and instantly she said, oh. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a good O. And she goes, no, we need to take a biopsy of this right now. And so she sliced off a piece right there and sent it in. And like just a couple days later, I can't remember if she called or texted, but she's like, we got to get you in for surgery immediately. You don't want to wait. You know, if you're going on the road, we got to do it before you go on the road. You don't want to wait 3 weeks. You don't want to wait 2 weeks. It turned out it was melanoma, which, if you're not familiar, is different from skin cancer. Not that skin cancer is a joke, but most skin cancer, it's on your skin, it's on the surface, you can remove it. Melanoma can go into your organs and can affect you really quickly. So my mom went through this, and I know I'm straying a bit here, but it's getting back to the subject. My mom went through this on her leg, and her doctor said, oh, it's not a big deal, go on your trip to Norway, you'll be fine. By the time she got back, it had gotten significantly bigger. They took such a big chunk of her leg out in her calf that I can fit my fist into the hole, and it's still there 20 years later. So when I went in for my surgery, it was just in her office, I said, Doc, take more than you think you need to take, because my mom had the same thing, and luckily my mom's still around. They got it all, but they had to take a huge chunk of her leg out to do it. So I says, take what you got to take. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna go pretty deep because we want to make sure we get all the roots of this thing. And when the surgery was done, I couldn't feel anything, but you could feel it, you could smell it, you can feel the pulling. And afterwards, the assistant is like, do you want to see what we took out of your shoulder? And I debated it, and I'm like, yeah, let's see it. If you've ever taken an orange, like a good size orange, and sliced it into wedges, when she showed me the wedge that she took out of my shoulder right here, I don't know how they sewed it back together. It's a miracle to me. And it looked brutal for a couple of weeks. It just looked like, I kept sending her pictures. I'm like, is it supposed to look like this? Because I thought it had gone bad, and it was just spreading. By the way, when I got in there that day and she discovered that it was melanoma, she says, don't worry, this is 95% curable. That sounds pretty good when you're not participating. When I walked into that office, I was thinking, I have like a 1 in 100,000 chance of dying today. I mean, you never know. When I left that office, I had a 1 in 20 chance. And that scared the living hell out of me. My wife, bless her heart, tried really hard to cheer me up. And I didn't fall apart or anything, but I was kind of in shock for that day. The next day, I kind of got back to normal, and I'm like, this is going to be okay. I go in every 6 months now and get checked. Even though she says I can go yearly now, I'm like, no, I know somebody who, they told him he could go yearly, so he skipped his 6 month, and when he came back, he had 2 weeks left to live, and he passed away. So, just a little aside, if you got something like that, get it checked out. You just never know. So we believe she got it all. God willing, I'll be around a lot longer, but we don't know. We don't know when our time is. So yeah, I have kind of a hint of experience, just a hint of what he went through. I'm not even coming close to comparing myself to him because, like I said, they took his whole leg off above the knee. And he was wearing that damn prosthetic in a couple of weeks where you're supposed to wait, I think, several months for the skin to harden up. And he must have been in so much pain. But yeah, I know other people where, look, I sympathize with you and I understand you're going through a really tough time in life. But there's a couple where that's all they talk about. That's it. And you have to get away from it because it brings you down. It's bringing them down. It's not helping them. And it just gets to the point where, I understand. I feel bad for you. I wish there was something I could do, but I can't wallow in this with you. I never once did that with my friend who passed. Not one time did he ever come and whine and complain. He had every right to. And like I said, everybody deals with things differently, so I'm not going to judge anybody, but I do believe he was manifesting some there. And hold on, I got a call coming. Let me hang up. And, you know, whatever that form that takes for you, I think there's something to positive thinking. Who was it? There was an author in the 70s, I think, that had a book called Think and Grow Rich. Was that Stephen Covey? I'm not positive. Some of you might know. But there is a mindset. There's a negative mindset. I have known plenty of negative people in this world. And all they do is say, things will never get better. They're just getting worse. They're getting worse. They're getting worse. They're getting worse. Yes, they are. And they will continue to. I'm not a motivational coach. I am not trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just telling you what I do. And I try really hard to focus on the good and hopefully let the bad go away as quickly as possible. And so, yes, I do believe in some form of manifesting things in your life, happiness, you know, material things. I don't know. I believe that you can focus your mind, or you can focus on something better so that you can get to that point in some sort of, you know, physical monetized way. Money, short. Sometimes my words just get jumbled. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I may do a longer, deeper video on this because I got a lot of thoughts on this, and it fascinates me, frankly. The mind fascinates me. I think there is so much untapped potential in here and in yours as well. Whether you're a genius or whatever, I think we all have untapped potential. So, yeah, we'll call it here. Got to go back to work tonight. Then I get up in the morning and I drive all day, and I'll start working back in California on Thursday. So I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday. I thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see if I can find a link to put this shirt is something I've started promoting on TikTok, Monkey Sober shirts, and I really dig them. So I won't show you the back now because I don't know if there's a way to promote it. But and that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just hoping you enjoy the videos and have a great day. So, tack för denna gång. Men snackas igen snart. I dig y'all. Peace. Love.